Hello, thought leaders. We're excited to have you here today. And today we are glad to have Deb Dibb back with us. Hi, Deb. So good to see you.
You too.
That nice, shiny, bright coral color that I know is one of your brand colors, as we're always conscious of our brands. So that's excellent. Thank you for being here and for sharing some of our new brand trends. Now, one of the first things that we're going to talk about today, Deb, is how COVID has changed digital branding. And I know the topic of COVID could feel overdone. We even have some graphics on that we'll be sharing in the class. But this is important for us, especially as we're thinking about our digital brands, to really be on top of how things are changing. And you've been doing some research on this, so please do share.
Yeah, I did research back in March when we had our spring class, and there was some burgeoning research on COVID and the effect on social media and your brand presence and working virtually and all that. This time around, when I started doing research, there's tons of information now because really COVID has changed everything. And if we think we can go about our business, literally our business as career professionals, in the same way we did, we just can't, because no one in our circle who we might be helping has any semblance of a normal life right now. And so just kind of psychographically, COVID has really changed the way our clients want to communicate as consumers and as potential clients. And the biggest change is, we've always talked about authenticity in branding, but now authenticity, integrity, empathy are the things that people want to sense from any brand, any company, any employer that they're working with. If people are opportunistic or kind of fake performing to just do what they think they're supposed to do, and it doesn't ring true, that's the hugest turnoff. Being tone deaf and not really addressing what's happening and pretending that everything's fine is a huge turnoff as well. And so really the bottom line is people are desperately, and I'm not using that word lightly, desperately seeking connection wherever they can get it, because we are so distanced, literally distanced from all the people in our lives, unless we're close family. So having that, bringing your humanity to your brand, that is one of the most important things that people are looking for. And so their social media habits have changed. Everything's changed. So, it's something we have to address if we want to do the best for our clients.
Yeah, and that connection, like you're saying, we've been talking a lot about live video, and live video is part of that connection. So Linda, thank you for connecting and dropping us a comment. If you're watching today, please drop in a comment. We love to know who's there and say hi, and then share what you're seeing as well in the digital space. So Deb, you're saying that they want that connection. They want us to be genuine. They don't want it to feel performative when we're talking about a social issue. Anything else specifically that you've seen changing around COVID?
Yes. No one wants to be sold to. They want to feel as though they're having a kind of a conversation, a real engagement, if you will. The things that we've always tried to do in social media is having that engagement connection. And there's a phrase I've heard, and I wish I could remember who said it, but it is conversation, not conversion. Meaning, have that conversation, be humane, show your humanity rather, authenticity. You can talk about your product, your services, whatever, but in a way that is not explanatory in a sales sense, but explanatory in this is what I'm doing that can help you, and I have no hidden agenda. I am gifting this information to you. And so you build a pipeline of goodwill for down the road, but don't go into that sales conversion thought where you're looking at your metrics and everything has to, develop into a sale within a certain amount of time. What's your ROI? That's not appropriate right now. Doesn't mean you shouldn't run your business, but you have to build those relationships that lead to a sale that helps your client as well as you, um, much more intentionally now.
Yeah, and we're looking at brands differently, right? People are expecting things from brands, and you found this graphic here that I'll just pull up real quick, that just shows that people are expecting different things from brands, right? We're expecting brands to be there in a different way. So hopefully you can see this
If I
on the
can,
screen.
yeah. Yeah. The first one that's so interested, I mean, we've talked about for years and years and years, brands and companies have talked about social activism and all those kinds of things. But now, uh, consumers, and let's call our clients consumers because they are, or if you're in the general public looking at this, you are thinking about perhaps using a career service. The thing that people want most now, almost three-quarters of all people want to know that the brand or the company or even an individual is a positive contributor, that they have the best interests of society and by default this person then, at heart, so that again it's not about sales. And people want to, because they want that connection, they want to feel aligned. And so we always talk about brand values, and branding, personal brands attract and repel in equal measure. So if we're talking about that, we're talking about people's values, and people like to find companies with similar values. And so it's important to not feel that you can't discuss those things kind of out loud anymore, because it was something that, don't share religion, politics, blah, 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 all of those things that were no-nos. And I really think religion and politics still are no-nos for most people. But talking about other things that you do for society, that your brand does, is the most important thing, followed by connection. Again, connection, that authentic connection, and followed that using the power to help people. So if you, and even bring people together towards that common goal. So if you're looking at these things, they don't have anything to do, if you notice, with the product, with the quality of the product, what the product can do for you. This is all about kind of an emotional connection, not a practical connection, if you will. I don't know if that will change when life eventually gets back to normal, but what I'm reading is that what's happening now is a sea change, and the likelihood of things going back to the way they were is actually unlikely. So I do believe this is the beginning of a big trend.
Yeah, and it's that connection. We just did our presentation on creating an inclusive brand yesterday, and that was because of this, right? Whether we serve the kind of majority, maybe our audience doesn't have a bunch of diversity in it, although I think that's changing. People in all types of fields and walks of life want to see companies that they work with being inclusive and being positive in the world right now, and that gives us an opportunity to do what we do well as career service providers, right? We already have this heart, we're already doing good, and now that's something that we can share our story and connect with people who are looking for other businesses that are doing good.
Yeah, and
So
story is a huge part of branding these days anyway. So sharing your story is a very good thing regardless.
yes, which is also one of the big trends, of course, that we'll be
Yeah.
talking about, right? Is this storytelling is stories are coming to LinkedIn. There's so much going on with stories that we need to talk about. But first, let's talk a little bit about how the social engagement has changed, because people are just on social so much more. We've got
Mhm.
tons of graphics on this, and we just chose this one to share. But social engagement and account use has just kind of gone out of control. 400% more users on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok in just the last quarter, right?
Mhm. Very much so. And the interesting thing is, again, talking about connection, seeing real people. And remember, people are now, so many, not everyone, but so many people are connecting via Zoom with their companies. They're on Zoom meetings all day. They're connecting to family near and far, having all kinds of Zoom events, Zoom weddings, Zoom everything. People now are used to video, and video feels connected. And we are also finding that people are losing their fear of video because of being in a video, of producing a video, whatever, because they're immersed in it now. It's, baptism by fire. They've had to adapt. So people are spending much more time on streaming video there for pleasure and for work. Then browsing social media, I'm looking at the things that would affect us as practitioners or potential clients who really, really want to help. So the browsing social media is very important too. If you're a practitioner, think about the channels that you've been using for your marketing, for connecting with your clients and your potential clients. And social media has become a really big, it was big before, but now it's even more important. It's just exploding. And we're going to show you something about LinkedIn in a minute, which is really interesting in terms of figures. So the other things that people are doing are mostly for entertainment, but that number 4 is browsing and reading articles online. So if you're a thought leader, if you want to share your expertise even more clearly now and reach more people, that browsing, reading, absorbing articles online is one of the things that you might look at and say, maybe I'll have even more effectiveness now.
Yes, yeah, and we were talking in our last class about different ways to blog, right? That a blog isn't what it used to be, and there's so many ways to blog. And now LinkedIn has launched their new newsletter feature. So we've been talking about the pros and cons between using LinkedIn's newsletter feature versus having a blog on your website, and how might you use those together. So there's so many things that we can think of as career service providers. How do we get our connection to the individuals that want to hear from us? And then also for our job seekers, what might they be doing that no one's done before? And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute and share some of our insights from other digital branding strategists that have shared. So this next one that you just kind of alluded to is from LinkedIn. And many of us use LinkedIn as our primary place to connect with our customers. So this is really important for us to know that LinkedIn's engagement, which used to not be that great actually, has really just kind of gone off the charts.
Absolutely off the charts. So talking about articles, you can see this kind of mustard color arrow, and articles have gone up. This is just, by the way, between January and March. January and March, just at the beginning of COVID, before anybody even knew what was going to happen to us all, over 2,000%. But the even more important arrow is that dark blue arrow that shows that engagement, which is what we're looking for, which sometimes happens on LinkedIn and sometimes doesn't, because we know a lot of people don't stay on LinkedIn all the time. They go in when they need something, just like networking. It doesn't work as well when you do that, but now engagement is closing in on 3,000%. It's 2,780 something, 81%. That's really a remarkable statistic. These were the most current statistics I could find, but my sense is that it's even higher than this now, because of people needing to stay connected professionally, people networking online now because they can't do it in person, needing to learn more and more about their industry and where their industry is going. All the reasons people go onto LinkedIn is really spurring this growth.
Yeah, and the engagement, we talked about this in April in one of our live streams, that because there's so many more people there, it means we need to be really thoughtful about how we stand out, right? More is good because there's more people to see, but more is also challenging because there's more people to quote unquote compete with. Although I still don't see, there's still room on LinkedIn if you do these things that I'm going to just share a few tips from some of our other digital branding strategists, but there is still room to stand out. I think that's one of the lies that we can tell ourselves, to not not have to do it is that, oh, it's there's already, everybody's there, and I don't need to worry about it. But there are still things we can do. And the first one, this was Kate Williamson, who's one of our digital branding strategists. She shared that power of consistency. And this is so true. It does not mean that you have to post on LinkedIn every day. You want to find what works for you and then do it consistently. So if you're going to comment on posts and that's more comfortable for you right now, that do it consistently every day. Find new people. It doesn't have to be the same people every day, but go onto LinkedIn and comment every day. If you're going to post consistently. That doesn't mean it has to be every day, but 2 or 3 days a week, so that you can start to build that. People expect you to be there. They expect you to post. So thank you, Kate, for sharing that consistency piece. And then Wendy Steele was talking about the visibility. And we do talk in our class about the profile, and the profile needs to be visible. And Deb, I'm excited because this time we'll be talking about it in terms of more how we tell our story, right, in our profile.
Yeah. Yeah, that it's just so important, because there's no better way to connect with people than through story. And if you want to get across facts about your business or about your career, things that are important for your clients to know, but they might feel a little dry or just not super interesting, when you package that in a story, stories build emotion, and emotion is connected, and emotion helps people remember facts. Emotion lights up the facts area of the brain and at least 3 more areas of the brain. So facts wrapped in a story are really fantastically absorbed compared to just a bulleted list, which so many of us are used to. I'm not saying there's not a place in a resume still for bulleted lists. People want to get information like that. But if you want them to remember the information, especially on LinkedIn, where you have the opportunity for a narrative, wrapping it into a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and developing your kind of like building suspense, and then what happened, and of course it's always what's in it for me, for your reader. That's really important. But the stories, it's been proven that people reading stories or hearing stories, their brain waves end up on the same brainwave, like matching the brainwaves of the person who is telling the story. So that's, talk about connective. I mean, there you go.
Yeah, and so we're always thinking about how can we, obviously we want to optimize for those keywords and for search, but we want to do it in a story, because that's that power. And so we've got some new things we're going to be sharing on creating the headline in a creative and catchy, but yet still branded and optimized way. And we've got some new things around stories that we'll be sharing, of course, as LinkedIn is going into stories. So Wendy Steele, thank you for that. Just really thinking about how we connect with the reader through an optimized profile and through content that connects. So then Maureen Farmer chimed in, and Maureen is just kind of off the charts in making sure her clients, executives that she works with, are branded. And not all of them want to be on social. And that's why we don't call it social branding anymore, because it's beyond social. Yeah. It's gone digital, right? So we're talking about podcasts. We're talking about, like I said earlier, blogs, on even getting on video. We're going to talk more about Slack and other ways that they might be conversing internally to their company. And all of these things are going to matter now more for our clients who need to manage their brand, whether they're unemployed or employed. So Maureen has some clients that are doing audios and connecting those to LinkedIn and sharing those on social, because they're not quite ready to do the video yet. But the audio is a safer and yet very engaging way for them to share some of their information. So I'm excited for Maureen to share some more about what she's doing with her clients on audio. And then the last one was from Lois Freak, who's one of our digital brand strats in Australia. And she was just really talking about the power of engagement, which we know is so important when we're doing anything. It's really about that connection. So I was just reading some of our comments here. So life has been shifted to Zoom. And then Rabbi says, yes, facts wrapped in a story. So yeah, when we think about digital, and, Deb and I, we've had some fun. We got to come up with some new things. And we started sharing this, I think, last class, this idea of how do we build our influence, and influence not meaning, the whole canned term of influencer, but influence meaning gaining our visibility and building engagement for our community online. And so, Deb, we came up with these 5 areas. I don't know if there's some of these you want to highlight.
Well, I think one of the most important things is the credibility. We talk about people are looking for credibility, that sense of integrity, and authenticity. And then the connectedness is so much about what people are looking for now. The consistency is so important. Do you show up all the time when people expect you to show up? Or are you in, you're out? They're going to find somebody else that kind of meets their needs, that has the consistency that they can depend on. And that contribution piece, that's really that value we always talk about. And the concern for others is that certainly that empathy that people are looking for. That empathy, so many things that I research talk about empathy. There are articles galore now on how to create empathetic writing, marketing. So those things are really, really, where they were important before, but they all have a whole new depth and utility. Utility is maybe too practical a word, but we still are in business and we need to be practical. So the utility of these more emotional kind of things is all wrapped up into that empathy and that connectedness. And that's your digital influence factor. I'm sure, Marie, you have some other things to say about this.
Well, and just that we've started, it's been so fun to do this program and to build this community of people who are focused on digital, growing their brand, growing their business on digital. Because we had, with some of our students, they come back and they say, this is what I'm doing differently. And so Robbie Sewell has been one of our fun, engaged community members from the beginning. She's a recruiter as well as does job search coaching and resume writing. And just to see her kind of evolve online when we started talking about this, how it starts with authenticity and really that vulnerability and being open to sharing your story, but figuring out what parts of your story and what parts of yourself you're wanting to connect to your audience. And she's just really taken off with it, trying to figure out that kind of unveiling, if you will, of the professional persona that we're so used to. And Deb, she kind of credits that to your professional discussion, that we've got to be personal as well as professional to be able to connect, especially on digital. So that authenticity piece, I know it really helps me when I'm thinking about how to grow online. And you bring that so well to this program. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And then also just thinking about how you make it consistent and the themes and where you're going to be. All of that is such a challenge for us and our clients, right? Are you going to be on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok? TikTok is, we've kind of not worried about TikTok too much and because of the privacy issues. But now with Oracle and Walmart buying into TikTok, it's going to become a player, right?
Yeah.
And that one even requires more vulnerability and authenticity. It's a little beyond where I think a lot of us are so far, but we've got some colleagues that are using it and giving us some examples of what we could do if we're ready to dive in. So I'm really looking forward to the stories piece and just continuing to grow with this community because it's fun. We kind of all grow together.
Yeah. With TikTok, it's like, that phrase, dance like nobody's watching, but who's watching?
Dance like 600,000 people are watching. Oh yeah, that's one of the people that teaches online classes. She was saying that she did her first TikTok and it like all of a sudden she had 1 million views and she didn't even know what she had done. So I think that's how do we move there when a lot of us are struggling with video, in the class every time we have a lot of people that say, oh, I'm getting there. And I know Dumont has been doing a lot more video in her Facebook group as well. So it's just fun to experiment with this and grow together.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, it's so interesting how trends kind of unfold and evolve, because any of us who were reach trained brand strategists, personal brand strategists, know that William Arruda, who developed the program before Marie took it over, he was talking about video years and years and years ago. And, you know, he's always been a visionary. So whatever he's talking about now, I would pay attention to. And here we are. And then kind of really fast forwarded the, no pun intended, because of COVID. But I don't think we're going to be going back to people being afraid of video. I think a lot more people are going to be doing video and saying, what the heck, just go for it.
Yeah, and that's what I would say to people who are watching or listening today. You know, if those are those things that we're afraid of, and it's not a bad fear, right? We're afraid of it, but we kind of know we need to do it. And how can we help you take that step? You know, tag Deb or I, let us know what you're doing. Happy to jump on a video with anyone. These video interviews are fun. So dip your toe in the water and let Deb and I know what you're doing. We'd love to have you share what you're doing.
Yeah, I call it those things that we do in our businesses that we know we have to do, and that, like Maria's always said, she's a bit of an introvert, but she's so passionate about what she knows, and I share that as well. That kind of pushes you forward into these courage challenges that you know you have to do. And if you think back to all the things you've done in your business over the years, or even in your personal life, you know, once you've done them, you're on to the next thing that scares the you-know-what out of you. And then when you do that, then that's easier. And then it just helps you push forward to doing more and more of the things that are so useful to you and to your clients that really give you pause when you think about doing it.
Yeah. Well, in telling our stories and kind of finding that new level of vulnerability that connects with our audience, I've seen that kind of as a theme over and over in our students, colleagues as well. So that's always a lot of fun. And it inspires the rest of us to watch that and see it and think, okay, this is what it looks like. Because sometimes we don't know, like, Maria, you told me to be vulnerable and, you know, go online and share all the negative things in my life. Know that, you know, it's more about sharing the things that will connect and share with your clients that you've been there before, and that you can help them through that because you've been there too. So it's always that fun.
Yeah. Fun line and fine line. You know, if you're going to what used to be thought of as oversharing, do it with a purpose. So you're doing it because it can help somebody relate to something that's been part of your life that can help them in their life. So it still needs to have a purpose. It's not just kind of like throw your dirty laundry out there.
Yes, no dirty laundry all over the lawn. So, well, Deb, I'm excited about getting the program started. And if anyone's interested today, I'm going to drop the link into the chat. And we start next Thursday. So this is kind of your last chance. If you like to wait until the last minute, this is the last minute. So thank you, Deb. And we will see everyone Thursday.
Bye, everybody.